Hello and welcome to Ine Live. You are in the Ine Boardroom today. I'm your host, Catherine Brown. And today we're sitting down with Ine CEO Richard McLain, talking about some exciting additions to the Ine platform that you can look for in the next few weeks and months. And we'll see some hands-on demonstrations of some of those tools. Very interesting stream today. We'll touch on some highlights over the past few months as well, and we'll be taking your questions as always, so go ahead and get those ready. Before we get started, as we do each time we stream here on Ine Live, I want to let you know we are, of course, streaming live across social media platforms right now, including LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Be sure to like and follow, as well as subscribe with the notifications turned on for whatever platform you're using, so you can stay in the loop every time we do go live. And of course, we want you to get involved, talk to others, talk to us. We love to see you guys forging relationships here in chat and talking about. We've already got some questions here. One from Idris coming in. We'll get to that shortly. Our team is monitoring chat. If you have a question, drop it in there. If you have if you have a comment, drop it in there. If you have a question, do us a favor, put a Q at the beginning, so as we're combing through chat, we can find those questions very easily, and we'll get to as many as we can today, we promise. Now let's bring in Richard McLain. Richard's been working with Ine since 2008, certainly a familiar face here on Ine Live. He's been the host of the CEO rather of Ine for 4 years. Richard, so glad to have you here on the stream today.
Awesome. Thank you. It's awesome to be here, and I love how you've grown Ine Live and what it's become, and love that we can put this out there for the community and the students as well. So it's awesome. Yeah,
we're enjoying getting to use this platform just for a ton of different ways and experiment in all the ways that we can use it. So great to have you here. First of all, I just want to jump in. There have been a ton of changes to Ine over the last few months. Some acquisitions, new courses that we've debuted, thousands of new labs. We've launched a new certification that is really just the beginning as we go through kind of the laundry list of what's been happening over the past few months. And I want to see if you can just start us off by going through the roadmap, kind of a status report of where we stand now and looking ahead over the next few weeks and months. What can people expect from a high level perspective?
Sure. Yeah, I think look at the roadmap and kind of break it down into 3 parts. We have our certifications, our platform, and our content. And on the certification side, I know there's a lot of excitement around our entry level pen tester student that followed up with an EJTP certification. And we're super excited to be working on the version 2 of that and coming out with a new EJTP. We think everybody's going to love it. Super excited, and the team has been really working hard and dedicated to getting that done. On the platform side, we've really been pushing a big focus on the hands-on labs. We feel like that hands-on and practical lab experience is really the way to become an expert, and we've really been pushing that forward. And so we've developed there's a lot of cybersecurity labs now that are showing up in the platform. We're working through Azure labs, AWS labs that are now 2 clicks off of the platform, and most recently we've been really pushing networking labs so that you can get a full-blown topology and just a few clicks. And so that's really been exciting to see, and it's been a lot of work from the team to get to this point. On the content side, we spent a lot of last year building out the instructor base and really getting in some experts on the team, and so I think the first few months here have been really focused in on the networking team has been really focused in on delivering new Juniper content. That was one of the biggest requests from students and customers alike, was pushing harder on Juniper on the networking side, and on the cloud side, really working to increase the AWS and Azure content. And so it's really been getting as much of this content in the hands of students as quickly as possible is really, and I think the roadmap, and we're going to be releasing a roadmap later this month, or I guess next month now that it's 1 day till April, but and really put it out there and really want to get feedback on it as well. But we're really super excited about the roadmap that we're building, and can't wait to get the content out here.
Yeah, one of the things, as you and I were talking, preparing for this stream, that really struck me is like everything that we've done and looking ahead on the roadmap, everything that we're doing really harkens back to the heart of the mission at Ine, which is hands-on, right, and practical. Every single thing, from the certifications to the platform to the courses to the labs, it really reinforces that critical importance on getting students involved from a hands-on perspective.
Yeah, I think that's super important. There's a lot of places where you can go and find theoretical content or, watch somebody solve a problem on YouTube. But it's really until you get your hands, on the technologies or configuring routers or trying pen testing tools like Metasploit or programming in the browser. And it's not until you can really get your hands on those things where that light bulb comes on, right? And you have that understanding that like you didn't have prior when you're just kind of watching and following somebody along through it. So I think it's hugely critical to the learning aspect and to the understanding, and not just kind of understanding the theory, but really understanding the practical implications and how to implement these things in the real world. And I think that's hugely important for us as we look down the road towards net new Ine certifications. Really having that mindset on a practical application is a really game changer in the certification space as well, because then employers know that I'm hiring this person on, they have an Ine certification. I know that they've been in these AWS accounts, they've been in Azure, they've had this experience pen testing on real systems. And it's not just Q&A, answer the questions, and we see a lot of those that are it's easy to memorize or to find some of those sources that provide that that help with those certifications. But I think we're really trying to bring a new light on it that's really impactful to both the students and to employers that can see those.
Yeah, and you mentioned that light bulb moment, right? That's what it's all about for certainly for the students and for IT professionals, but also that's really the reward on our end as well, is when we see that light bulb go off and we see, okay, people who are taking this training are able to, okay, it clicks. Now they're able to go and get a better job or advance in their career or just demonstrate their knowledge a little bit more, because boom, they've been able to really have that switch flipped for them.
Yeah, when I was an instructor, or when I taught Java down in Auburn, Java programming you get thrown in and you have no idea like what's going on, and they go to the lectures and they sit through these classes and it's still like it feels very foreign. And I think that is the most rewarding moment when you're going through and you're working with somebody in the code and they like, oh, like it makes sense, and then everything else kind of really starts following along a lot. It becomes easier and easier, and so that is really the most rewarding part of what we do. And we are so passionate about our students and trying to make sure that we're delivering full knowledge and information that can help them in their day to day, and help them in their career and help employers stay on top of these technologies.
When I first started and finally learned what it was, so I know I know how proud you are of students for learning actual real life skills. One of the things you mentioned, Richard, was the networking labs, and currently we have more than 300 new labs on the platform and really growing every day. Can you talk specifically about some of those and what they do, what kind of difference they can make for the students?
Yeah, I think it's a huge departure from kind of how we started in networking. We were really focused in on delivering material and labs around becoming a CCIE. With that foundation, we really learned. I mean, that you had to have hands-on knowledge, right? This is the pinnacle of networking. And so, we spent a lot of money and a lot of time building out and developing automations and systems around the lab environment. We set up an entire data center in Reno, Nevada. We were, renting out logins to people. They had to book these sessions. It was all on the physical equipment and all this kind of stuff. And with the acquisition of PTA, we were able to get a lab platform that was really scalable and suitable for delivering networking labs in the browser. And so I think it's a huge step in the right direction in my mind, because now you're not renting out racks days in advance. You're not having to pay anything additional. It's all included in the pass. And more importantly, it's kind of in line with the training. So you see a video, you take a quiz, you do the lab, so that you kind of have that reinforcement all the way through that training objectives. And so I think this is really a huge step in delivering that kind of on-demand, hands-on environment that is, I think, crucial in development.
And, you know, just to be candid, I mean, there's been sort of mostly positive, but definitely some mixed reaction as these labs have kind of hit the market from people saying, you know, why the change, why the shift over to browser-based labs, and you know, there has been a ton of research and thought put into the reasoning behind these browser-based labs. Just to your point, you know, they're just more usable for more people.
Yeah, I think for us, the really key was that can we accomplish the learning objectives of the course through these labs, and if yes, then it's a no-brainer that we go this route, because I think the ease of use, and I stress this because I think the one thing as students go through, you know, the number one enemy in training and in studying is time. And it's if I can remove barriers and remove roadblocks for students so that, oh, the lab's right here, I'll just go ahead and do it. That is a huge step in the right direction, and reducing that barrier, whether it's mentally or whether it's, you know, time in the you have all these other, you know, distractions or things around you. I mean, that in itself is a huge improvement. And I think on the other side, you know, we have a lot of customers that are working in industry today that their you know, their networks don't allow them to VPN, Telnet, SSH out of that network, and so there are restrictions on that point that we can circumvent by having these labs. And not just that, I think the huge thing is that the speed at which we can now develop labs and develop this training and create environments for students to practice and to test has been drastically increased. The time is so quick now, from a Brian McGann going through, coming up with an idea in a topology,
networking labs,
and then deploying that out onto the environment. The timing has been so greatly improved.
Awesome. All right. So I was just talking with our production team here. Wonder, do you want to go through kind of a hands-on demo of some of these networking labs right now? Show those off, Richard.
Yeah, I think we have some. I think we have some screenshots on standby there that we can just go through. But I would you know, everybody kind of out there in the audience listening, these are now live on the platform. You can go through and experience these yourself. Really, you know, this one that Brian put together on BGP, you know, you click Start Lab, and then, you know, you're presented with our typical task and solutions, right? I would suggest don't look at the solutions until you go through it. But really, the lab starts up, and then you're delivered with that topology in the browser, and, you know, you right-click, you get to shell, you get to console, you know, you type your EN, you type your show run config, and it's literally just like you have telnetted into our boxes that were in Reno. I mean, it's so quick that it really is it's a game changer in this type of training, I think.
Yeah, and we have thanks for showing those off. We have an INE Live scheduled in the next couple weeks where we're going to have Brian McGann come in and really go through an in-depth walkthrough, hands-on demonstration of those labs, kind of talk about how they are game changing and what different ways that students can use them really to maximize the benefit. So stay tuned for details on that, but thanks for giving us a quick look, Richard. One of the things that we've been talking about, and with others, both in the company and outside it, is, you know, with the acquisition of Pentester Academy, we didn't just get content and labs, right, but also a whole team of security experts and researchers. They collaborate together. They turn around labs on very hot topics in cyber in just a couple days to really get at the meat of providing real-world experience for some of these publicized exploits. And I'm talking about things like, you know, Log4j, CryptoLocker, Dirty Pipe, things like that we hear about in the news, and that our team, through the acquisition here that we did of PTA, our teams are able to pull together labs, push them out, you know, within a matter of a couple days, hours, a couple days sometimes, and get people interacting with this and learning how to combat these active real world threats. And that's very important for learners.
Yeah, I think one of the things as we were going through the acquisition that we didn't realize until afterwards was the amazing team at Pentester Academy. And not just Vivek, but Nishant and Jeshwin these guys are they're speaking at Black Hat this year as well. I mean, they're really security experts, and really just an amazing team of people that are dedicated to providing just amazing labs on, like you said, on these topics that come up out of nowhere. And next thing you know, that it's on every news channel. And as a business leader, you wonder, oh, am I at risk for this? And so having where we can then turn around in a matter of, like you said, sometimes hours and sometimes days to get a full scale environment up and in the infrastructure, it's a huge game changer for businesses, because now I know my researchers have access to that, and that they're not having to go figure this out themselves from zero. That they have a team with Ine that is putting out labs that are hypersensitive to the current environment of what's going on. And so huge. I mean, the damages from cyber attacks on businesses, I mean, it's massive, right? I mean, I think it was some quote somewhere about $3 trillion and is expected this year from just damages in cyber attacks. And so any advantage that we can give an organization to defend themselves or prevent cyber attacks against their organization is massive. And I think that the guys at the team at Pentester Academy have done an amazing job of keeping those relevant, keeping those up to date, and just really coming out very quickly with labs on these attacks.
Yeah, one of the key points about these labs, as we're talking about these real world active threats, right? Even going in and accessing something like this through a VPN would then open up your computer, theoretically your network, to one of these active threats. And so that gets back to where the browser-based labs really excel here.
100%. I mean, I think this is where, if you look at something like CryptoLocker, right? CryptoLocker is notorious for scanning available network shares and encrypting those, right? And so I think this is where you have this huge benefit of being able to, not just 3 clicks into the lab scenario, but knowing that your computer is completely safe. Yep. You're testing this on our equipment, not your own, and not in your business's network. And that is a huge benefit to the browser-based labs as well.
Yeah, we want to. Go ahead, Richard.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we wanted to give like a really hands-on look at what this means. Our security research manager, Nishant Sharma, who is with the Pentester Academy team and is now part of Ine, has put together a quick video. We just want to take a look at that now.
Awesome.
Hi everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about the Vulnerabilities Training Library, and we are also going to cover the Dirty Pipe Exploit Practice Lab. The objective of this library is to provide lab environments along with the manuals to our customers so they can learn about the latest threats and then defend their organizations against those. Currently, we have covered Log4j, we have covered Dirty Pipe, and then we also have some of the popular cases from the past, like the WannaCry and the Shellshock. The Dirty Pipe is a Linux kernel vulnerability that enables privilege escalation by allowing us to write into the read-only files. So, to put it in simple words, any low-privileged user who has read-only access on a file can actually exploit this vulnerability to write into the same file. The affected version is from 5.8 onwards. It was fixed in 5.16.11, 5.15.25, and 5.10.102. So anything that is in between of these is vulnerable, and it is highly recommended that you upgrade your operating system. The link to the original post is provided in the references, and we will highly recommend that you go and check the original post. So let's understand how it exactly works. The main culprit for this vulnerability is a commit that was done in version 5.8, which actually introduced a new flag for the Linux pipe. We will not go into details, but to understand it briefly, let's go through the steps of exploitation. So first of all, as a user, we have to open a file for reading, and that's the reason we can only do this for the files on which we have read permission. Once the file is open, it will be obviously loaded into the memory in form of pages. Then we can create a pipe with this specific flag, and then we can point this pipe to the specific page where we want to make the modifications. And this can be done using the splice system call. Once it is pointed, we can write the arbitrary data to that page, and due to this specific flag, the changes will be merged with the source file. So by using all of these steps, what we are essentially doing is we are writing something into the memory, and this specific flag is then instructing the kernel to merge these changes into the original file, which should not be allowed because you have only opened a read-only file. And by using this process, we are then able to write into the read-only files. So now we will use this to write into a read-only file. We are going to use the code that is provided by the discoverer of this specific vulnerability. You can find it on the link mentioned here. For the simplicity, we have also copied this code and kept it in the manual that is there with the lab. So here are some required conditions to execute this attack. As an attacker, the user must have read permissions on the file. Otherwise, we won't be able to open the file and then we won't be able to do anything. Similarly, we can't insert bigger content than the original content, which means you cannot change the file size. You can only overwrite things and you cannot add more things to it. So with that, let's jump into the lab and see how to do this. The lab is already running. We can check the overview and the tasks. So the first task obviously is to edit a read-only file using the exploit. The solution for this is also provided here. So we'll open the lab. First of all, let's check the version of the kernel. So we can see that it is one of the vulnerable versions. Now, for the sake of this demo, let's modify one of the read-only files, and let's do this with the password file. So if we do etc password, we should be able to read it because we do have read permissions on it. We can verify the same. There we go. But as you can notice, and as we all know, this file is protected, so we won't be able to write into it. So for that, we are going to use the exploit code that is provided by the author of this vulnerability and the exploit. So if we go back to the solution manual, you'll find that this specific code is provided here. So we'll copy it and here use vim to create a new file called exploit.c. Paste the code. The code is in C and it pretty much does the same thing as we covered in theory. So once the code is saved in the file, we can use gcc to compile it. And there we go. We have an executable with us. So now to make this exploit work, we have to use this binary. Then we have to provide the name of the file, which is etc and password. After that, we are supposed to provide the offset as well as the content that we want to write. So for that, we have to check what we exactly want to change here. So if we open etc password, and now just for the sake of demonstration, we are going to change this one, which is the UID for the daemon user, to 0, just a POC. So what we have to do is we have to count the offset from the starting to this, which will come around to 92. So we'll go back here, and as you can see, I cannot write into this. That's why it failed. So I have to just quit it. Now we'll define 92 here, which is the offset, and then I want to replace 1 by 0. So if I execute it, it will tell me that okay, it has worked, and we can verify the same by opening this file again. And there we go. We can clearly see that 1 is now replaced by 0. It is clear to us if we can write into a read-only file, we can also add a new user to the etc password file, and we can use that user to perform privilege escalation. but we will leave that part to the second demo. In this second demo, we will use the exploit code to directly escalate to the root user and to get a root shell. The code for this exploit is contributed by another user. We have mentioned the link here. And in this case, we will require a binary with setuid bit. So this exploit code is going to use that specific binary to write another file into the temp directory, which will then call an elevated shell. So let's go to the lab and see how to do this. Let's delete the older files. If we check the manual, the code is again provided in the manual. So here is the code. We can copy it. Let's paste it in exploit.c file. Let's save it. And now let's again compile it using GCC. Once we have the binary, we need to provide it the path to the setuid binary that we want it to hijack. To locate the files with setuid bit, let's use find command. So as you can observe, we have setuid bit on sudo and all the other binaries. So let's use sudo for this. And there we go. If we check the ID, we'll see that the current user is root. All right. So what you can see here is in temp, there is this file named sh. So if we just exit it, and if we check the temp, you'll see that the setuid is set for this specific binary as well. And as soon as you run this, you'll again get an elevated shell. So this is how we can leverage the dirty pipe vulnerability to escalate the privileges on a machine. So that was it for this session. We will highly recommend that you check our vulnerability training library and practice these vulnerabilities in our labs. Also, stay tuned for the new content that we are going to add to this in the near future. Thank you.
Wow. No, that's very impressive, and to be able to kind of turn that around, like I said, in just a few days, and show security researchers, CIOs, CTOs, when you see that and you go, this is what my team needs, because understanding it first, and then just seeing how easy it is to get to an elevated shell. For those of us that are not Linux gurus, I know that it puts us, if you have root access, that is the keys to the castle, so to speak. So, I think that having this training out there and putting these vulnerabilities out there and showcasing that we're doing it on our boxes, not yours, is, I think a huge benefit to the.
I was going to say it's huge. I mean, it can't be understated how how big of a deal something like this is.
Yeah, and so it's really, and like I said, like having the Sean and the team and everybody from PTA being just on top of this stuff, it's amazing, and it's a great benefit to the company and to others now.
And we had a question from Samson Pavlov. Is this demo lab available to non-premium users? This is a lab that's reserved, that is on our platform for premium users, correct?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for asking that question, Samson, and giving us a chance to clarify that. Something else that we have been talking about a lot this year is certifications. And here at INE, we've been very, very excited over the past few months to release our first INE certification. You know, we have the ELS certifications, but kind of tiptoed into a whole new arena with the ICCA.
Yeah, I think the ICCA was a huge milestone for us because, you know, when we acquired eLearn Security, they already had 13 certifications. I think over time we updated a few, and then we added one more, a new certification during that time. But you know, I think coming out with those lessons learned and coming away with a process and what we wanted out of a certification, and we didn't want to be a paper, you know, certification factory or anything like that. We wanted to really create something that was valuable to students and to organizations. And you know, I think with the ICCA, we've been able to separate ourselves out from AWS, from Azure, who are, you know, their interests are in you sticking with their platform, right? Their interest on AWS is that you get AWS certified and that everything you do is on AWS going forward. But I can say that, you know, there's not a lot of places out there where you have the knowledge to present to, you know, if you're on a finance call and saying, well, what are the costs of this going to AWS? You know, somebody might be able to stick, you know, if they go through the ICCA, understand that, hey, there are things that are actually more economical on Microsoft Azure, for example, versus AWS. And being a well-rounded cloud student and a cloud practitioner, I think just is a huge wealth to an organization. You know, I know, for example, in our dealing with labs, you know, we're dealing with a lot of nested virtualization, right? You have like KVM on AWS, and you have very expensive bare metal machines on AWS that would prevent, you know, that would abstract that layer out a little bit. But the cost, on a cost perspective, running some of these labs, take for example the networking labs, running them in Azure is much more cost effective. And so just having that knowledge of saying, like, this is we're looking at it from a multi-cloud scenario, and we want to give people a kind of fundamental understanding of the multi-cloud and what this means. I think it's been huge, and I think it's just the first step. So I'm really excited that we were able to release that, and I know there's much more to come from that team.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun things coming down the pike from that. We're going to get a demo from Mike Pfeiffer in just a second, but before we get to that, I wanted just to talk with you about a couple of the other net new certifications that we're working on, the EJPT V2 and a couple other things.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned in the intro there, you know, we are working hard at getting the EJTP V2 coming out, and I think that we really want to position that with a net new release of a PTS, updated PTS course, which is the Pen Tester Student course. You know, a lot of the labs in PTS are kind of using Windows 7. It's getting a little long in the tooth in terms of practicality. So we really want to make sure we're staying on top of that and putting labs and scenarios in there that are really more practical about what people are using today out in the field, such as like Windows 10, for example. So really excited about the new EJTP certification.
Awesome. All right.
I think there are a lot coming down the pipeline. I won't say a lot. There are well thought out certification paths that are coming in the close future here as well. So really excited about being able to deliver on those and put those in the new testing environment that we have.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly put. You know, well thought out, thoroughly researched, and just really, really, you know, certifications that aim to fill a gap that exists in the industry, not just replicate something that's already there, right? That's a huge part of it as we venture deeper into this certification arena.
That's a huge differentiator, and I think that's, you know, as I mentioned on the AWS side, or even on the Cisco side for networking certifications, you know, all of the vendors have their kind of certifications on their product. But a lot of the times you walk into a data center, it's not just all Cisco equipment sitting there. Right. And like I mentioned on the cloud side, you go to our team and they're not just using AWS. And I think, like, we want to make sure we're providing a practical way that businesses can look at a certification from INE and say that, hey, this person has a well-rounded experience across these across these networking devices or across these cloud platforms, et cetera. So I think that's where we really want to make sure that we're not just a Me Too certification, but it really is that added value, and making sure on top of that, that you have to have that hands-on practical experience.
Yeah.
So we're even going further in terms of how to test on that. Using some of the community might know kind of dynamic flag injection and some of these things that we can guarantee to an extent we can guarantee that that person taking the lab has not just gotten their answers from someone sitting across the desk, so to speak.
Yeah. We have, we're going to bring in Mike Pfeiffer now, who is the founder of CloudSkills.io, currently director of cloud content here in Ine. And he's going to talk a little bit more about the ICCA and what's coming down the pike for the cloud here at Ine.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Ine Cloud Certifications. We'll do a recap of what exists now, and then we'll talk about what's coming up next. Now, you might have heard we have the Ine Certified Cloud Associate, the ICCA. That is a certification that currently exists. It was just released this year in 2022. And this entry-level certification is really designed for anybody in the IT organization. This is something that not only serves engineers and developers and architects, but this is something that executives and other folks that are in the IT business can get a lot of value out of. Now, the way that we prepare you for this exam is we have 10 hours of training material that goes over the core foundations of working with the Azure Cloud Platform, Amazon Web Services, even working with Google Cloud. And on top of that, there's hands-on labs and quizzes. And so this certification experience is really kind of taking multiple approaches here. So although this is an entry-level certification, it is an immersive certification process because you're watching videos, you're doing hands-on labs, you're doing quizzes, and then you're taking the actual certification once you've prepared. So let me show you the experience of actually launching the certification. So imagine you've watched all the 10 hours of the videos, you've gone through the practice labs and the assessment questions, the quiz questions. Once you have your certification voucher, you'll head over to the exam to get started. Now, like I said, this is an entry-level exam, so difficulty is novice. You've got 90 minutes to complete the exam, and that includes 46 questions and 4 hands-on lab objectives. So once you click on Start Exam, you'll be taken to a screen where you have to accept the terms and conditions. So you'll read through that, click on Start, and that'll take you into the multiple choice portion of the exam. We're blurring out the question text and the answers here, but essentially you read the text, you pick the appropriate answer, and then you move on to the next question. Notice inside the exam experience, you can provide feedback on questions. So if it's confusing, you can leave us some feedback, and we are reading that feedback consistently. You can flag your questions for review so you can come back later and change the answer if you'd like to. And also notice there's time alerts. In this case, I've set it up to where I'll get an alert 10 minutes before the exam actually ends. Once you're done answering the questions, take a look at the bottom right. You'll click on the hands-on lab button, and that'll take you in to the objectives you need to complete. And of course, to maintain the integrity of the exam, we're not showing the text of these objectives, but you can see there's 4 different objectives worth 1 point each. In this particular exam, you got to get 2 out of 4 points. So on this screen, I would just start the lab by clicking the button on the top right. And once I'm done with the lab exercises, I'll get an exam score just like this. So not only will we give you a detailed breakdown of how you did on the objectives for the multiple choice questions, we also do the same thing for the hands-on labs. You'll know exactly which ones you passed and which ones you didn't. So now that we've recapped the existing certification, let's talk about what's next for cloud certifications at Ine. The next certification we're working on right now is called the Ine Certified Multi-Cloud Engineer, the IMCE certification. And of course, this is going to be an in-depth core engineering certification across multiple clouds. So in this certification path, we're covering core engineering domains like security, infrastructure as code, networking, compute services like virtual machines and things like that, high availability, and then finally storage. And across all of these different topics, as you could imagine, there can be some really complicated engineering scenarios, and that's what we plan on delivering in courses that map to all these topics in this certification path. So across security, infrastructure as code, networking, compute, high availability, and storage, we'll have courses that touch on 300 and 400 level concepts that help you understand how to do cloud engineering on AWS. Across this multi-cloud certification engineer learning path, there will also be courses for Azure that touch on these topics as well, again, going into 300 and 400 level content. And this will be actionable, hands-on based content that you can follow along with on our lab platform. With this approach, you can work through our content for the multi-cloud engineer certification, or you can just focus on Azure or AWS or even Google when we add that later. So ultimately, what our cloud certifications will look like will be this. We'll have the ICCA, which currently already exists. That's our associate entry-level cloud certification. Next, we'll release the ICME, the multi-cloud engineer certification will basically stack on top of the ICCA. Once we're done with the multi-cloud engineer certification, we'll build one similar to that for multi-cloud architecture. We've got a DevOps certification path planned as well, and many more. But these are the ones you can expect to see coming out over the next several months here at Ine. So that brings us to the end of this update for cloud certifications here at Ine. Good luck on your exam.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, ton of stuff happening, and really that is just the beginning. So very, very exciting times here. I want to get to another topic, something that I'm also really excited about. I know you are as well, Richard, and that is the new Ine for Business platform that we have launching soon. Just want to see if you can kind of take us through that, talk about some of the features of this, because this really has been designed as a complete game changer for enterprise clients.
Sure. Yeah, I can share my screen here and kind of go through this, just some screenshots. If you can just let me know you can see that good, and then.
There you go. Got it.
Awesome. I think the first thing that we really wanted to focus on was, a lot of changes coming out to the business platform, and really putting that at the forefront to really help businesses understand and navigate not just the content, but their teams on the platform as well. And so the first thing we really wanted to get done is the single sign-on. And so now any any enterprise accounts can really upgrade to a single sign-on experience with their company. So that's kind of been step one. Step two, you kind of log into this all new dashboard, much faster analytics than we provide today. I know that's been one of the major complaints, just the speed at which the analytics and graphs are loading, et cetera. So really wanted to make sure we increase the performance and the responsiveness of the new site. And not only that, this is also working in mobile as well. So really excited about that. The other side was really on the team management side, adding a invite by email, invite by link, having some teams, creating a new team, assigning colors so they can kind of keep them situated within the dashboard. And then what you can basically adjust the licenses, adjust who's the manager of those teams, and a really thought out team management. And this was really from years of experience with our kind of our current platform. And then we can kind of see our entire team, kind of go through, track licenses, track what team they're on. But more importantly, I think kind of look at the overall usage of the team. How are they doing on quizzes, labs, videos, how many slides they're watching, all the activities that each member of the team is doing. And then I would say the net new feature that we're really excited to launch is what we're calling Playlist. And, Playlist is basically you can create a custom playlist for your team or for a user, assign content to that playlist, and then view all your playlists, and then get feedback. Oh, oops, sorry, the wrong button there. Kind of view your old playlist for those users, and then get feedback on the playlist completion. So we can see how many courses they've started, how many courses have been completed, and really progress towards that playlist that you've created. So we're really excited about the new playlists that are coming to the Ine Business platform.
And all of this, is really being designed with customization in mind, right? Different businesses have different needs. We understand that, we get that, and it's all with an eye toward allowing enterprise clients to create the experience that makes sense for them, right?
100%. And I think we have years of this feedback that we're hearing from about usability, speed, performance, what analytics are important to them. And it's really about showing the ROI on the training investment that you're making. A lot of the stuff that we're doing and showing on the platform is a lot on the student side, and we're increasing their knowledge, we're increasing their skill set, we're really helping them. And it's how do we have a reflection of that back to an account admin or to a CTO or a CIO and a business leader, and saying like, this is an investment in your people to really accelerate their careers and their skills. And this investment pays back, and just trying to get to a point where we're really showcasing what that payback is to a business.
Yeah, we're big believers in data here at Ine, and we're leaning into that pretty hardcore with this. Not just asking you to trust that the training is good, but actually giving you the metrics and information to look at it, prove it is, and then make it easy to disseminate that information to your managers, directors, C-suite, what have you. Richard, anything else on this business platform that you wanted to highlight, or anything else particularly that we have on the roadmap that we haven't touched on, or that you wanted to address?
Well, I would say we're going to be rolling the new business platform out in the month of April. We are going to be pulling on current accounts and new accounts onto the platform as we kind of trial that out and get that out there. But we want to get that in the hands of users as fast as possible. And then the second thing is the teams are hard at work on creating a net new experience at Ine. We have put a lot of time and a lot of energy into creating a fun training experience, and I will leave it at that for now. But it's I'm super excited about the upcoming months here in Q2.
I had to almost duct tape Richard's mouth shut so he wouldn't reveal any more information about this. Richard, I know you're super excited about what's coming up. We have a huge announcement. You'll be privy to all the information in the next few weeks and months. Keep an eye on our social for more details. But Richard, I know this is, I don't think it's an understatement to call what we're working on right now, what we're in preparation, what we're preparing to deliver a huge passion project for you.
Huge passion project, and I would say it's been, as some of the people on the team could tell you, it's probably been 9 years in the making. So I am so excited to get this in the hands of students, and this is I think it's game changing in the space. So super excited about it.
Maybe we can leave that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I look at training kind of what I'm big into technology and all these things, and like I love this stuff. I love going through the platform, and one of the biggest things that I run into are a lot of distractions, and between family and work and all the things that are going on, and I want to be able to create something and work with this amazing team to create something that is fun and addictive. And so I think that's what we're getting to. So super excited about that.
And read what you would like into the word game changing. We'll leave it at that, right?
Subtle hints.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. Anything else you wanted to touch on or say before we head out?
Yeah, just I guess do you want to do any questions?
Yeah, we do have one question that we were not able to get to. First of all, thank you for all of your question. Idris Dressy asked, any plans to expand on the collaboration CCIE path?
Yes, we are going to be coming out with, I think, a 6-week course on the CCIE collaboration. And that should be, like I said, we're going to be working hard to get the roadmap out in April. So you should see that coming out. But we are working hard on getting kind of a 6-week course come out for the collaboration as well. So really excited about that.
All right, in the works, Idris, in the works. If anybody else has any questions, go ahead and post them now. If not, we're going to wrap up here. Richard, anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm just super excited about what we're working on and how well the team has just been. I can't thank the team enough at Pentester Academy. Just been an incredible group to work with. Our team with Amanda leading certifications and all the content directors have just been. Everybody is so passionate about what we're doing, and it really gets back to just I think just how much we care about the students' education and about what we're doing. We have stories from students for days about just the success they have, and that means everything to me. And I know we've talked about that in a previous gathering, but I think that's so rewarding to kind of see the success that students are having. And I thumbs up every certification from Ine I see on LinkedIn, and I mean it's so amazing. The community has just been really supportive of all those messages and people as well. So that's been great to see.
Yeah, and as you progress, to those who are watching, as you progress through, whether you're an individual with a certification or a business team user, an enterprise user, please, when you hit those milestones, post about them, share them. We love to see them. Richard was just saying, he combs LinkedIn, looks for those, gives them a thumbs up, and there's really just nothing more rewarding for us than to know that you are succeeding. So, Richard, thank you so much for being here today, for opening it up to questions, for talking to us, just giving us kind of a rundown of what we can expect over the next few months. Appreciate your time.
No, great being here. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you again soon, and we will be live again tomorrow. INE's Director of Cybersecurity Content, Jack Reedy, will be here, along with AWS instructor Brooke Seahorn, for a special April Fool's stream. That is right, tomorrow is April Fool's Day, so don't get caught. They are talking about cyber fumbles, tales of blunders and audacity in tech. That is quite the title, and it will be quite the stream. Great stories to tell, some really interesting and some useful tidbits for you to take away, learn from the mistakes, don't make them yourself. Be sure to like and subscribe on the social media platform you're using so you can stay in the loop for details anytime we stream and those notifications when we do go live. As always, bring your questions. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a great week.